I can't believe I'm even saying this, but DJ Akademiks just cooked Sneeko and Myron in back-to-back debates.
People have been exterminated. That's caused other people to realize, hey, we got to make sure it never gets to this again because we know what happened last time. This whole let's kumbaya, let's forget. What are you talking about, Sneeko?
Myron and Sneeko are both anti-black white supremacist apologists. So when Sneeko was talking to Akademiks, he completely embarrassed himself, trying to defend racists like Chud the Builder, downplay racism, and throw unfair criticism at the black community.
When black people say the same exact word, it's a term of endearment. When white people say it, so many people think you should act violently. My point is you have to let go of victim mentality. It holds you back more than any of the control mechanisms that we imagine.
And because they were finally talking to somebody outside of their dumb little MAGA white supremacist echo chambers, somebody finally pushed back on Myron's anti-black talking points and white supremacist rhetoric and logic.
But the point is this: if you picked any group of people that have any self-pride and you pick on them and you target them with racial epithets, if you target them with slurs and you try to offend and oppress them, especially using language, at some point they're gonna slap you in your face, punch in your mouth, or put a bullet in your forehead.
But I'm Chud. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
Are you saying black people can't have accountability, bro? If you say chimp out, they're gonna hit you. Like, come on, bro. Like, you're perpetuating the stereotypes of everybody says, bro.
No,
oh,
Myron,
you're gonna chimp out and punch them. Like, bro, this is why people are tired of niggas, bro. I gotta keep it 1,000. This is why people are tired of blacks.
No, but Myron, you don't
give it accountability. Imagine a world where saying, hey, you gonna chimp out?
Myron, hold on.
Just punched. What?
Myron, I'm gonna tell you what world that is. The world is, every time I've watched Sneeko, he's like, everybody hold hands, let's come together, let's pray to Allah, this and third. And then I looked over Israel, they put his face on a bomb. Okay? So in the real world, I haven't seen Sneeko do nothing to nobody. But they'll put his face on a bomb and drop it on a city. That's way less than some guy saying a word and getting punched in the face. Yes, when you have words, even if it's not violent, other people meet those words. If they feel what you're saying is violent or disrespectful or offensive, they meet that with violence. Okay? It's not black people. Because let me ask you a question. Do you think what that black guy did to Chud, I didn't know Israel was putting Sneeko's name on bombs. What do you think is worse? So when you say that only black people do that, it looked like other people do it too.
First off, Akademiks is really on a run. I've never agreed with him so much in my whole life. But on top of that, during the live stream, when we watched the Sneeko debate, I made the point of Johnny Somali. Johnny Somali was getting his head rocked all over Korea. And people were applauding the Koreans for literally tracking that man down and putting hands on him every chance they could because he was disrespectful. Because he disrespected the people of the country, the customs, and was making people feel uncomfortable. He didn't put hands on anybody or physically harm anybody. He was just disrespectful. And so white people, everybody, the world around was applauding South Korea, the Koreans, for putting hands on Johnny Somali for disrespecting them. But all of a sudden, when it comes to black people being disrespected in this country by a racist white guy, the black community is just expected to take it, to not defend ourselves, to not be offended, even though he's purposely going out of his way to offend black people as a whole. We're just expected to take all type of disrespect, racial slurs, threats, antagonizing everything, or else we're going to live up to some racist stereotype that people are going to think about us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't make sense. Myron is a perfect example of fully, willingly buying into the stereotypes against black people, anti-blackness, and all the bullshit stereotypes that the media has always pushed out about us.
I think I could Google it. They put Sneeko's name on a bomb, and Sneeko has I've never seen him physically harm anybody that's Jewish. But you know why? He got the rhetoric that they don't like. It's offensive to them. And in their response to that offense is not by saying, you know what, we're mature. They're saying, put his name on a bomb and let's go kill some people. That's true, right?
They put my name on a bomb too.
They think the same about you. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that you're saying it's only black people that are triggered to violence. Well, what about the Jewish people that you have rhetoric that don't go along with them? They put y'all names on bombs and inflict violence with it. It's not just black people. It's everybody when it comes to offense. People just think that black people are pussy and they should not be able to do anything when they're offended. But when you offend Jewish people, your name is a bomb.
I mean, you could even take the Jake Lang example. When he went to Minnesota and everybody was out there protesting ICE, those folks out there was beating that man to oblivion, and actually a black man in the crowd saved his life.
You're gonna sit around while you turn our children into a bunch of lovers.
But you don't hear anybody talking about, oh, white people are so violent, because that's just not the common narrative in this country.
Okay, so
right?
let me get this straight. Are you comparing a self-defense case to a geopolitical quagmire in the Middle East?
It doesn't start off as a self-defense case. It starts off as one man trying to have racial division. One man who's trying to offend a whole different race, a whole race of people. Yes, yes.
Correct. Chud and his people are trying to make it a self-defense case. He went up to that black man just like he's always gone up to black people in black environments and black spaces, said something disrespectful and got a reaction.
Milton Etherly, also known as Chud the Builder, got into an argument with another man outside the Montgomery County Courthouse. A few seconds later, someone fired shots. This video given to us by witnesses show Etherly on a stretcher after the shooting. Etherly has become well known on social media for posting videos of himself shouting racial slurs at people. Investigators tell us both men involved in the shooting were rushed to the hospital.
It didn't start off as a self-defense case. Nobody harassed, followed, antagonized Chud the Builder. People reacted to him, and that's it.
Hold on. All right, wait, hear what I'm saying. Sneeko is a fucking irrelevant commentator. Why are they putting his name on a bomb? Just like how,
Sneeko, catch it straight. He called that man an irrelevant commentator. I know his little feelings hurt.
It's like how Chud is an irrelevant streamer. But you know why? Their rhetoric matters that much to the offended people that your name is on a bomb. This guy's rhetoric, Chud, matters that much. That's why you're getting punched in the mouth. Yes, it's the same thing. I get it. You want to say this thing overseas is bigger? Granted, I get it. I get it just boils down to one self-defense case in this situation. But the point is this. If you picked any group of people that have any self-pride and you pick on them and you target them with racial epithets, if you target them with slurs and you try to offend and oppress them, especially using language, at some point, they're going to slap you in your face, punch you in your mouth, or put a bullet in your forehead. Ask Charlie Kirk.
God damn. I didn't expect that ending. That's crazy. I'm so glad Akademiks didn't just let Myron fast talk him like he tries to do everybody else. And he's 100% correct. Any race or culture is going to defend themselves. They're not going to just be attacked, antagonized, threatened, harassed without some type of reaction eventually. He's trying to make it a black thing where black people are violent and ignorant and thugs and you can't say anything to them. It's not that at all. And actually, if that was the case, right, let's just take that at face value, that black people are violent, ignorant, whatever. This whole situation with Chud the Builder completely disproves that because he walked up to, harassed, insulted, threatened hundreds of black people and nothing happened to him for months at that point. Nobody shot him, stabbed him, or chased him down like they did Johnny Somali in Korea. So therefore, that defeats that narrative that black people are violent people who are so impulsive and reactive and you can't say anything to them. Because if that was the case, Chud would have been out of here a long time ago. What's so funny is my one criticism when Ak was debating Sneeko was that you're friends with Myron, you're friends with Aiden Ross, and you don't have that same energy with them. So it's good to see this debate. It's good he's checking his friend and not letting these dumbass anti-black narratives that Myron always pitches out finally get pushed back and his dumbass logic receive criticism. Akademiks been on a run lately, humiliating these manosphere dudes. Once they get presented with logic and can't deflect or play semantics or fast talk somebody or cut them off like they do on podcasts, their whole gimmick falls apart. Didn't Myron just say he would hit someone if they called him a racial slur the other day? He absolutely did, which is also what makes him so hypocritical.
If you get that offended over words, that's very bad, bro. Very bad. If you get offended like that over words, that could put you in jail. That could get you hit with an assault and battery charge, a deadly weapons charge, whatever the it may be. God forbid a manslaughter or murder charge because you can't control yourself. 5 seconds. You couldn't control yourself, now you spend 50 years. You're getting mad at some dude calling someone else a name on the internet. Like, think about that. Talking about haram this, haram that. You're a kafir that. Murtad, all these other bitch ass shit that if they had told me this shit in person, I'll punch them. Call me murtad to my face, I'll knock you out. Extremely disrespectful shit that they would never say to me in person. Ever. Because they know that it would be a warrant to knock them out right then and there. If you get that offended over words, that's very bad, bro.
I'm crying. I thought this was going to be a reach, but he just blatantly contradicted himself. Because the fact is, nobody's just going to sit there and be disrespected, called racial slurs, be threatened and violated like that. Now, white people, black people, Latinos, nobody's going to do that. Everybody's going to feel a way about being called a racial slur and being called out their names. Now, what's true is we all can't crash out about everything. We do have to have self-control and restraint. But the point is, nobody is going to sit there and be harassed and threatened. And for them to be demanding that black people just sit there and take it is ridiculous. What is this world coming to? Why the am I agreeing with Ak, man? That Myron dude is an idiot. He's been an idiot. I've been called him out. But just like Sneeko, just because somebody speaks well and because they speak fast doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Doesn't mean they're the smartest people in the room. They don't know what they're talking about half the time, especially when it comes to the black community because they're not from the black community and they don't deal with anybody actually in the black community. That's not their life experience. They don't know us. They can only talk about black people from an outside view, just like a white person. Bro, you cook with this, not gonna lie. lie. Also, Myron is an Arab. He doesn't feel like we do when Chud runs his mouth. That's also another thing that's really frustrating about Myron and Sneeko. They're not black. They can't tell black people how to feel when we are called a racial slur because they're not in our shoes or in our situation. Neither one of their parents are from this country, so they can kick rocks with any criticism of us. Myron knows what Ak is saying is true, but it's easier to run with the narrative that black people are quick to violence and make every other group of people seem like angels. It's easier to run with that because that's the common narrative that America, that this country, that the media in this country has always painted about black people. But it's the furthest thing from the truth. We are a community-based people. We love each other, we take care of each other, and other people on top of that. We're probably the most accepting community, which is part of the problem of us needing to gatekeep our culture better because we just let everybody in it. But everybody, when offended, is going to react or protect themselves when threatened. It's not just black people. Doesn't this kind of prove, I assume this is a white person posting a moment clip from the Boondocks, which I don't appreciate. I feel like that's racist. Doesn't this kind of prove that black people get offended by words way more than other races? Keep in mind, the West has bashed white men over the head constantly with racist, Nazi, cis white male, just a white boy. With the help of these leftists, you're gonna get more chuds. He drunk the Kool-Aid of white men being victims. They control, own, and run every power center in this country. They literally run the government, so therefore they cannot be victims in this country. And also, Myron being a hypocrite, because that's what this was responding to, doesn't have anything to do with black people. Because Myron is not a black American. He would tell you that. He's not from our community. If anything, his video is an example of the Arab community being willing to put hands on somebody for disrespect. And the response to that, this narrative is so stupid. Let's be honest. In the Middle East, there's places where they chop your head off for speaking offenses. Johnny Somali was decked in the face, left and right by Koreans for all the racist trolling he did over there for views. Out of here. That's super accurate.
Let's assume Chud did call him a nigger. Let's go best case scenario for the prosecution. Let's say he did call him a nigger. The word still is not considered a fighting word according to U.S. law. Still not. And then on top of that, just to be fair, it's not a fighting word.
Fighting words aren't necessarily just all spelled out. It's fighting words have a meaning behind them. If there's a shared meaning of offense or me trying to provoke you, that is going to be seen as a fighting word. There's not like clearly defined fighting words.
Yeah. The entire situation was Chud went up to him first. That dude was minding his business. He was outside the courthouse to go into the court for a child support case. Chud walked up to him first, just like he does everybody else, just like we saw him do on camera 100 times. He walks up to black people, says something insulting, then says, oh, you going to chimp out, or then he threatens them based on how they react. So in all of these cases, Chud is always the instigator. He always has been.
Oh, of course. But what I'm saying is, because you said racial terms are considered fighting words. They're not. Now, what you're referring to is within certain contexts, right?
A white man calling a black guy the hard ER or saying he's chimping out, that is as fighting words as could be. Come on.
Okay. To you.
In the United States of America?
Okay, again.
Yes.
What you might constitute as fighting words isn't constituted as fighting words according to U.S. law.
Keep in mind how hypocritical Myron is, because we just heard he was willing to fight over being called slurs. This is the biggest cap.
Be clear about this. Like, you might take offense and be like, yo, those are fighting words, I'm whooping your ass. But according to the law, the term isn't a fighting word. Now, I'm going to be charitable. Let's assume the word is used with other...
Anybody not black saying the N-word, hard R should be considered hate speech. Of course, it won't under this administration.
Are you saying that could never be a fighting word, or you're saying just in itself it's not a fighting word, but contextually
that, yeah.
could? Because contextually, the way this guy, when I hear him say chimping out, I hear him saying the N-word. Like, sure. My brain substitutes.
Sure.
They're talking about two different things. Akademiks is talking about from a human perspective, outside in the world. If somebody calls you an offensive name, a slur, we all feel offended. We all feel attacked. And most people will understand somebody reacting to that. What Myron is trying to argue is the legal definition of an inciting word that you could legally claim self-defense against. They're talking about two different things, semantics, I guess.
Sure, but remember, everything. Notice how you respond to me, like, from your subjective take, whereas I'm telling you
the anecdotal thing here. I think we're this is where we probably depart in many mutual thinking. I think remember, listen, even my audience know I am not Tariq Nasheed. They know, like, listen, when Act feels offended by this is something that the majority of people who are, melanated are going to feel offended by. This is not normal. Like, and I know when you say that you wouldn't feel offended by the N-word.
He's not black. He's not a black American. Myron is an Arab. He has nothing to do with black people in America, black culture, none of that. Myron is not from our community. Why would he be offended by the N-word? We know what words he would be offended by, though.
You're a cop for that. Murtad, all these other bitch ass shit that if they had told me this shit in person, I'll punch them.
I think you're the very small minority. I think if you walk up to most people that are consider themselves black or even brown or have some ancestry that emanate from that sector, if they heard a white man say the N-word to them, immediately it would offend. They would feel.
I think that's where Akademiks is wrong. I don't see black people across the world having a strong negative emotional connection to the N-word. They don't get it because they didn't have to live through it. It wasn't used against them like it was used against black people in America, being called the hard R and spit on them and beat with batons that had dogs sicked on them. So I wouldn't expect an Arab like Myron to get it. Why would they have any connection to the N-word? They never had to live through that. Their parents never had to live through that. Their grandparents never had to live through that.
Like someone is trying to either oppress them or, and again, it's just, the word is loaded with meanings for people of a certain color.
All right, would it
you
be fair to
saying
say
that you could brush it off is very different.
All right, let's go into a scenario. Okay, are black people adults and full-fledged members of society?
Absolutely.
So if they're adults and full-fledged members of society, right, that have autonomy, well, that also comes with responsibility. If you punch somebody for saying a word just because you're black, that actually looks bad on the black race.
No. First off, you're not punching somebody for saying a word because you're black. You're black, therefore they're saying a specific word to offend you. Anybody that goes out there calling people the N-word, hard R, should expect to get punched in the face. 3, something that one black person does shouldn't be generalized across all black people. One black person doing something shouldn't make all black people look bad. Just like it doesn't work like that for any other culture. A white person shooting up a school doesn't affect all white people, doesn't make everybody else across the world look at white people like school shooters or rapists or PDF ring participants. A Latino doing crime doesn't affect all Latinos. An Asian doing crime doesn't affect all Asians. I don't understand the generalization of black people where one black person doing something represents the whole entire black community doing something. But it also doesn't work like that for good things. A black person becoming a doctor, a surgeon, a judge, a lawyer doesn't affect the whole community. They look at any success from the black community as, oh, that's the good one. And they look at any bad thing from the black community as that's all of them. And that's just bullshit. That's only used against us.
Because I'll tell you this, if I went to a Jewish neighborhood and started throwing Roman salutes and saying, F the Jews, I pretty much won't have to worry about anything. They're not going to come up and punch me because they're exercising self-restraint because they're adults. So your argument is basically, hey, bro, just don't say because they don't.
I don't believe that. I don't believe you're getting out the Jewish community without being put in handcuffs or getting scuffed up. There are some Jewish communities where they have their own police, so Myron is wrong.
Don't have self-control and they're going to punch you in the face. That's basically what you're trying to say. Now, going back to what I was saying about the whole law thing, the term is not enough to be considered fighting words. It needs to be utilized with some other imminent threat of violence. In this scenario, now let's go back to the Chud the Builder case because we're being very...
Which Chud also had all the time. Anytime anybody stepped to him or reacted to him, he would either pull out his bear mace, his big can of bear mace, or he would point to his gun.
Specific. I only said the word be charitable, but chimping, if doesn't meet fighting word requirement, chimping out definitely doesn't. And then to go further than that, let me just finish. Let me just...
Chimp spraying on the pavement.
Okay,
like,
I can address that after. So it's not considered a fighting word unless some type of imminent violence is behind it, right? Next, if nigger's not a fighting word, then we can pretty much conclude that chimping out isn't a fighting word either. Then to add insult to injury to finish, the guy closed the distance on him, then said, you better not say chimping out, or then he says, or what, you're gonna chimp out? That's when he punched him.
False. Myron is lying. This is why Myron lost his audience. This is literally why his audience turned against him for supporting Cheddar Bob Chud. What actually happened in that situation, from the news reports, from eyewitness testimony, from everything that's come out about this case so far, is Chud walked up to them, said whatever he said to them, then tried to walk away. The black dude followed him, said something to him about, don't tell me I'm chimping out. And Chud immediately got in a bladed stance and put his hand on his gun. He reached for his gun before any physical altercation happened. So Chud didn't get hit in the face before he pulled out his gun and started shooting.
So this guy has zero justification to do what he did. Again, I'm going off of the facts and circumstances on what happened that day. Now let's address that tweet you mentioned with somebody on a sidewalk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Chud tweeted the finale of all of this is going to be a black man dead on the sidewalk.
Now, obviously, that's not the best look, right? But I do think it's important to understand that you could be let me say this. You could be a criminal. You can be a sex offender. You could be one of the most deplorable people ever. That does not deny you the right to defend yourself. You can say all kinds of crazy shit on the internet, but that does not mean that you can't defend yourself.
Myron would sell his soul. He would literally lick the bottom of Chud the Builder's dirty cowboy boot to be accepted by white people. This shit is kind of sad at this point. He just has no self-respect. He just wants to be accepted by white people. I honestly don't know who Akademiks has been around that got him acting all pro-black lately. But seeing this version of Akademiks actually stand up for the black community and finally shoot down some of this anti-blackness from the people in his circle like Sneeko and Myron is really good to see, because they've been getting away with their anti-black rhetoric and white supremacist logic for way too long. But shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting, and thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.